how are we supposed to make things anymore that get people to think without maybe possibly offending some people?
Yeah.
And if we don't ever try, then how do we know really what actually is offensive or not? Hi.
How's it going?
He's going good. The weather's finally better.
It is.
It's fucking hot. It's the wrong day to wear a black turtleneck. I'll tell you that.
I love your amped show, by the way, because you kind of finish each other's sentences. And I was listening to what I was just telling you a minute ago where you were talking about dating and the dating apps. And I know you're sisters, but you almost feel like twins because I never, you literally would finish each other's sentences on the show.
Yeah.
It's a great show. You're having fun with it?
We're having so much fun. Yeah,
Awesome.
we got to keep reminding ourselves to say each other's names because our voices are so similar. Yeah.
That it like confuses people who's talking.
Like, oh, by the way, that's me. I'm dating. Hi.
Do you have a favorite show so far? I personally like the dating app one because I thought it was very interesting how you were exploring dating apps and the concept behind it. And something that people talk about a lot, but like it's such a common thing these days.
Yeah.
By the way, 10 years ago, no one would ever talk about that. Nobody would ever tell each other that they met on a dating app. It was almost like taboo. Now, if you're not on one, it's almost like weird, right?
Yeah.
But the show is great. You're having fun with it. This show, we're going to talk about your life, your history, and get into all your many projects because you have amazing projects going on. So many that we'll speak about. But talk to me a little bit about growing up together in Florida, what it was like, your family, music, life growing up together.
Well, music was always really incorporated in our lives.
Yeah.
Our mom and dad would always blast that music really loud.
Yeah, very eclectic taste. They never sheltered us because it was explicit or something. It was just good music all the time of all the different genres, different times. So, yeah, definitely grew up with that. And being Cuban, too. Lots of dancing.
Yeah, did you ever get to tap into that Cuban side, the Cuban heritage? Did you tap into that? Did you ever been to Cuba? I've never been there.
No, we wanted to go, yeah.
We're waiting to do like a whole family trip and everybody's schedules meet up so that we can all go together and experience that, with our mom and stuff. But yeah, definitely we try to keep the Cuban heritage alive, even though Papi's not here anymore. Yeah.
Do you speak Spanish, both of you?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Try.
And growing up,
read
were you
Spanish pretty well, actually.
That's
Speak it.
growing up, were you into? Because I know you. I actually know that you dedicated your set the other day at Ultra. Like I think you played "Welcome to the Jungle."
Yeah.
And then you dedicated that to your dad. So was there an '80s side of you that you were really into? Your parents were into growing up. Talk to me because I'm a rock guy, so we can talk about this all day long. But
oh yeah,
we listened to so much of that growing up, and it wasn't just like, oh, we're listening to it in the car. No, it's like our parents are like singing every word. Really, that was amazing.
Yeah, some of our fondest memories are actually singing music together, especially of that era.
When Dani did her set and it was for Daddy. It was so good.
Yeah, so it was Ultra Miami, which for me was a huge goals list check to actually get to play a stage there, the worldwide stage, because we're from Miami. And so I always said, like, one day when I got the chance that I would dedicate that set to my dad. And so I got to do that.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
I was like trying not to cry. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it with the bang.
But musically, what were you exposed to growing up? Like, what specifically did your parents listen to? Like, obviously, I don't think it was EDM, right? So.
Oh, no, definitely not. No EDM in our house.
So what were they listening to that kind of, because I think that you kind of like, I feel like you love hip hop, right? Am I correct? Mm-hmm. And you obviously, the EDM thing, was there a rock part of you that sort of
love rock.
Okay.
Yeah,
love rock for
classic
sure.
rock. Pretty much, I think everything. I was definitely a big '80s person. I got my mom's like iPod, and so it had all her music on it, and those are like the songs that I kind of became obsessed with. I'll definitely say there's some like Led Zeppelin and Billy Squier.
Billy Squier is great.
I love Billy Squier.
Yeah. Pat Benatar, maybe. Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Heart.
Yeah.
Boston.
And did they ever listen? Was it specifically rock that they listened to, or just all kinds of '80s pop and
all sorts of '80s?
Okay.
Yeah, it depends who you're asking. My mom definitely loved more of the '80s pop, and my dad loved more of the classic rock. But they both enjoyed hip hop of the modern time, which was like Eminem, Dr. Dre, like
Run DMC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 2 Live Crew. Shouldn't have been blasting that around children, but we did, and we loved it, and I sang along to it, and it was a great time. My parents were cool.
Well,
yeah.
funny enough, you wanted to be an astronaut. So we'll talk, because your stage name is Comet.
That's
so I
true.
feel like it all kind of feeds into one at this point for you, right? Is that,
Yeah.
did you see yourself as, that's really what you want to do when you were younger, right? Or a scientist, maybe?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%. Another thing really dedicated to my dad. He was super into sci-fi, and I was kind of a daddy's girl. I loved everything he loved. So watching Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica or any of the, Mars Attacks, etc. I don't know why I really was so drawn to it at a young age, and I thought it would be cool one day, like when I was really young, to be an astronaut. I was so fascinated with space. And then we watched a movie one time, and I'm forgetting which one it is. It's a classic, but they literally are coming back to Earth, or they're leaving, and they explode. And I was just like, oh, does that really happen? He was like, all the time. And I was like,
I mean, it did.
I'm
yeah,
not going to
it's-
die.
I think it was Cape Canaveral years ago that happened. It's not, it was a very dangerous occupation.
Yeah.
On paper, it sounds great, astronaut.
Yep, as a
And
kid,
then
you
you're
don't
wait a minute,
understand
I didn't know that could blow up on me.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because early on, I think your parents were like, just do some modeling and acting because that's kind of a way to pay the bills. And I think you were even in like I think Bella, you might have been in a Pottery Barn commercial like super early on, right? You were in
a print. Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
At like 6 months old or something, right?
Yeah, 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah, as
Wow.
my mom tells the story, I had the job when I was in the womb. They didn't care that I was a boy or a girl. Like, it didn't matter to them. And she was like, what do you mean? Like, and they're like, we just put, a color on it, and you just can't tell when they're that young.
It's funny because I'm deep in that business. I don't know historically if there was a lot of money in kids modeling, but maybe that was just a way to pay the bills early on, right? Feels like.
I don't think that there's a ton of money in child modeling. No, I think that kind of when you grow up in Miami, that's like something that is
Parents have
that a lot of kids do, like everywhere.
Yeah.
And then some of them like then go to acting, kind of thing. I think though at that time, I think that money and things were fine. It was more so when my mom got sick, and then that things were hard for the rest of the time. So I don't think that modeling was ever supposed to be like something
Way to pay the bills.
Yeah, that paid the bills.
Yeah.
Or even what it would turn into.
Yeah.
But it's really
Yeah.
nice when parents are very supportive of the creative process.
I
And
agree.
obviously you have parents. My parents, when I was 17, I said, I'm going to move to LA. That's where I had that hair, and I'm going to be a drummer. And they're like, what? What's going on? But they let me do it. So early on, it seems like your parents were super supportive of this.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm sure your mom is super proud of you now, too. But were they kind of pushing you? I feel, did you want to, you were so young, so obviously it wasn't your decision to do modeling. But acting, do you feel it was something you wanted to do, or was something you just felt like you had to do early on? Both of you.
Oh, yeah, I think it was super cool always from the get-go. Since you start so young, you don't really remember a time without it. And it's just like, I don't know, it's mainly our childhood. I feel like I connected more with people on sets than I did like in school or something. But yeah, it was something that was always, I felt like a choice. I loved it. I loved getting in front of the camera. I loved letting out all that ADD energy. I loved posing. I loved fashion, and then when we had the chance to move to LA, it was like, hell yeah, that seems so exciting.
Because before then,
Yeah.
you used to come to New York to do modeling.
Right.
So on the week, I don't know if it's the weekends or the week.
Summering.
Summer,
Yeah.
okay. So you do like 3 jobs a day there? Or what?
Oh, yeah. Then
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, also just, I think child industry was so different back then.
Yeah.
There was a lot less laws. I don't know if you'd be allowed to do that these days, but it was so fun running job to job.
Yeah, what
in
memories
New
do you
York.
have of those early days of acting and obviously modeling like back in the day? I mean, you were so young, both of you, but do you have like specific memories about those years for yourself?
I felt super cool because the only person I've ever truly fangirled over was Hillary Duff growing up. I was obsessed with Lizzie McGuire. And so I booked this Barbie campaign, and it ends up leading to a national commercial, but you didn't know that was kind of like the test. And so we get the national commercial, me and my sister Kylie, and we go out to Pennsylvania from New York, and we see all these pictures like inside the production room of Hillary Duff, and we're like, why are all these pictures of Hillary Duff in here? And he goes, haha, it's a surprise, but she's like the lead of the commercial. And all of us are just like, ah! It was so cool. It was literally as like a child just being like, how the fuck is this happening right now? I got to have a conversation with her. And then by the time I went back to start 6th grade, the commercial was already airing. And it was quite annoyingly airing because it was this theme song that everybody used to sing at school, but in like a poking fun kind of way. And I was just like, fuck you. I'm a Barbie girl. It's cute. Yeah.
You were both homeschooled, right, at that point?
Later on. So when I think 6th grade was my last year before homeschooling, then we all got homeschooled.
I started 3rd grade.
Homeschooling. Wow. Did you miss that? You feel like did you miss something school wise? Like, you know, it's different when you're homeschooled. Obviously, interacting with the kids at a young age. Do you ever feel like you missed? You kind of, all right. I just wish I had that thing where I was in school with kids and we could interact. Or you never really felt you didn't know what you were missing because you were so young.
Yeah, I think you don't know what you're missing. I was bullied anyway in school. Is one of the reasons why I was taken out. So it wasn't that I already had such a great time.
Yeah.
I was speaking Spanish. I didn't know how to read. I was always modeling, so I wasn't really in school much. And all those things, like the pretty dumb model girl, like that just got to such a point that then my teachers as well were like, oh, you should take her to Sylvan Learning Center and see if there's issues, because this isn't necessarily like normal that she really can't like read now by this age. And then they diagnosed me and they were like, oh yeah, you should pull her out of school because this will just like get worse for her. She needs like, you know, one-on-one attention, and she needs to drop a language because she's not going to learn in one language, let alone two. And then as I got older, yes, I definitely think now that I would like to go back to school. You know, I've been thinking about picking up some film classes. I love filming, directing, writing, picking up a cinematography class, some other things, editing classes. And it'll also like be fun for me to get a little bit of that experience that I never really like had. And I'm totally okay with not having it. I feel like the bullying would have just got worse. So I'm like, I'm okay.
It's fascinating because I was reading an article the other day about some of the biggest directors in the world, like Quentin Tarantino, that never went to film school.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating, right? I mean, I guess it's great to have that knowledge, but ultimately it's about life experience, right?
100%. I think that one thing that most people get at when they're talking about whether it's good or not to go to film school, and they say, well, look at all these amazing people that didn't. I think mainly what they're saying is if you're trying to learn how to direct a movie or make a movie, then don't go to film school. Like, it's not that you have to just go to film school and that's the way you're going to do it. Because look at all these amazing people that have done it without it. I think more so they're saying like I wouldn't be going to film school to learn how to make a movie. I'm going to learn specific things so I know exactly what I'm referencing when I'm on set. So I know exactly there is no debate whether it's this or that. The worst thing, you want to be in a room with a cinematographer and have not an idea when it comes to ratio versus lenses and light fixtures. You're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Your like head starts to spin. I'm like working on film as well. I'm starting on film. So that will be its whole other like beast to handle. Editing.
So not digital.
Yeah.
Like old school film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I will always do film, but I am picking it up now. I'm doing it for my next short, and learning it, you know, really getting to use it and getting to understand it. Beautiful. But, you know, also like editing, that's one of the most important things.
Definitely.
And I spend 16 hours with my editor, with them just doing it all day long, that I don't leave their side. So there's no reason as well that I shouldn't know exactly how to do it physically myself with my own fingers.
I love that you do so many things because you both have accomplished so much, which is incredible. Talk to me a little bit about when you moved to LA, what it was like. I think you were 13 or 14, Dani, and maybe Bella, you were 8 or 9. And when you first got into acting, and I think Entourage was one of the first things you did in Big Love. And so talk to me about that time period for you.
Yeah, I remember going on Entourage. Was so fun. That was so fun because we were such huge fans of the show. Mommy loved the show. Daddy loved the show. And, you know, not that our parents ever were necessarily pushed us to do any of these things. No, we wanted to do acting. Like that was always, our idea. But there was this certain level, I think, especially for our father, where he wanted to create this Thorne empire, and always he loved movies. I think he loved movies more so than even my mom. Like how Dani said, so big in the sci-fi and everything like that. So when I got Entourage, that was so exciting. And even though I have like 3 lines, it was just can't believe I get to go meet Turtle and all these people.
Cute. She like opens the door and she's so tiny. Yeah.
I remember in kind of life reflecting, television, whatever. Years ago, I had a meeting with Ari Emanuel, and like the real Ari, and he was like yelling at someone in the office before I was supposed to get in there, like the TV show, and I'm like, I'm not going in there after because he was like, "You'll never work," and I was like, I don't. Can I wait an hour before I go in there? But it was
the vibe.
Yeah, it was interesting. But do you think that show could exist today? I feel like
Yes.
it's in a different format, maybe, right?
100%.
Really? Okay.
I think though that people need to be a little less scared to do some things.
Yeah.
There is this level of not getting canceled and not offended, but there's a level of also comedy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of comedians talk about this all the time, where you might as well just like kill it off the face of the earth. Then if you're not going to at some point somewhere in someone's time you're going to offend them by making a joke, whatever it is about. And I think that there's definitely a lot of wrongs that go down in comedy that you're like, oof. But for the most part, I think the statement is totally truthful, which is really like how are we supposed to make things anymore that get people to think without maybe possibly offending some people.
Yeah.
And if we don't ever try, then how do we know really what actually is offensive or not?
Yeah.
And I think that people, in order to make Entourage now, you'd have to be a little less scared, because the fun part about Entourage, I think, as well, is you've got these like rebellious, kids growing up and getting into Hollywood and all these cliches that you think that about Hollywood stuff.
Sexism and all
yeah,
that.
and it kind of, you're kind of like, well, yeah, you can't cut it out though. It's kind of, it has to be in there in order for it to work. One, and also it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, it's true. So why are we all trying to I do hope that something is given a chance to shine, whether it be scary or not, or risk-taking or not. I really hope, because I know that there's scripts out there that want to do it and want to take the chance. We just need networks to also do that.
And as a viewer, I want it.
Yeah, we want it. I think everyone's
like
bored of the same.
safeness, yeah.
That's just, it's not.
Yeah. You do like the darker side of things in terms of film and TV, right? That's sort of what you take to a lot more. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw The Grudge in theaters when it came out. So just do the math on that. I don't know what the math is, but I was young.
You were mentioning your dad, by the way. He had such an incredible work ethic. And I feel like, did you get your work ethic from there? I would imagine so, right? Sort of that drive and that ambition.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of things from Daddy, and from Mommy as well.
Yeah.
They're both like engine drivers. They both came from nothing and made something of themselves and came together to make this family. And they're both from really, really shitty backgrounds that most people don't make it out of.
And had to
alive.
teach everything themselves. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we definitely learned that as well, which has given us like real humility in life, of really just understanding just how hard it is to, one, get by and two, like be something more than everybody told you couldn't be, or your parents or whatever, like how they grew up. And they definitely have shown us that that it is fucking 100% possible.
Yeah. It's interesting because people would always, from what I understand, people would tell you you can't do something, but it just made you work harder and push down the door harder, because that's typical in Hollywood, right? People don't usually open up the door easily. No. You have to. No one really helps you, right? So but usually, sometimes when you're really driven, that no is like, all right, I'm going to work harder because I want to succeed. So did you find that really, in a way, like, because people always, like I said, it's not usually like the door's just open, but it gave you that work ethic and that ambition to really succeed as you did?
I definitely would never be here or have the type of drive that I have if our parents didn't instill that in us. And there's a lot of great things. There's also like, moments taken away from your time and your childhood, but you're thankful now because you're just like, God damn, if I had to learn how to work this hard right now, I'd never make it. This is so fucking hard. If this wasn't already instilled in me, and I think about that too, and a lot when I think about having kids, of just like, well, life's got to be hard, though. Life's got to be hard, though, because you're not really a good person when life's not hard, man. Like, I want my kid to, like, really work hard and want to be something and achieve something and make a difference somewhere and not just be like, oh, yeah, like, I had an easy life, man. I can smoke weed on my couch and chill. Not that smoking weed is bad. I love smoking weed. But,
I feel like I'd be scared to bring kids into the world right now with everything going. I mean, you read you do that doom scrolling thing, and I'm just like, I'm not bringing anyone into
don't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Well, talk to me about Belly. You're like 12 years old. You get this call, obviously, to audition for Shake It Up, which is amazing. I think you were actually, Dani, you were a big Disney fan at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And what was that like? Because you grew up in Florida, which was fairly liberal, and Disney's so PC, right? So, like, what was that like? Do you remember getting that call? Your mom getting that call?
I think Disney was loved across the board in especially places like other big, like outside of the big cities, for sure. I think no matter where you grew up on Disney and Nickelodeon, you were like, didn't matter how PC it was.
Well, Florida's not so conservative, right? If you, as a state,
definitely
so, like,
not.
I think he's saying, like, how did that divide feel like going into that of being in a place that's so PC, where you're coming from a town that, like, us changing on the beach being first of all, me almost getting fired because, like, people online were freaking out that I was wearing a bikini, right? And us being from Florida, we didn't even realize, like, why it might be weird for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old to be wearing a bikini. It just didn't. It didn't really click on why that is really, like, why that might be odd, or if it's odd or not. Like, it was just, for us, it was, completely a different, not understanding. I think in general, in LA, we didn't understand in Hollywood just how much more... Whoa.
Even you couldn't say, you couldn't call, you couldn't have manners with a casting director and say, so, like, yes, ma'am, or sir, anything like that. That was offensive.
Really?
Wow.
I got completely such negative feedback, and one casting director was like, don't ever send her in there again because she's so fake with her yes ma'am, please sir. Like,
that was just the way you grew up.
And we're like,
so fake, you were so young.
I know, it's weird, but it's also that's what one thing we never really accounted for is it's odd to even think that people in Hollywood think that a child could be fake or putting something on, whereas that just didn't even occur to us. It's just a weird. It's odd, but that is how it is here, and everything seems to be it's a plan. It's a PR stunt. They planned it out. They thought it out. And sometimes you're like, nah, man, nobody thought shit out.
You were just doing what came natural to you. That's all. But when your mom, by the way, got that call, and you're so young, you can't even really process how big Disney is at that point.
And Dani coached me for that audition because she had also just tested on Wizards of Waverly Place.
So you were the coach.
Yeah. She was the original Disney girl.
Because you went on to do Hannah Montana, which is pretty cool. What was that like?
It was awesome. Yeah, fuck yeah. I grew up watching Hannah Montana in Florida, so to come out here and be on it was super cool.
Did you work with Miley a bunch?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, the shell shock thing, the difference between, like, adults and all of us, and everything just feels like a family, and you're just like, I don't even know these people. They're absolute strangers. It was awesome. It was so sick. Yeah, I loved it.
Hey guys, today's episode of the show is brought to you by the all-new DLZ Creator by Mackie. The DLZ Creator is an adaptive digital mixer designed for podcasting and streaming, and it's what I'm using right now to make this very own podcast. What makes it so special? DLZ's Mix Agent technology takes all the hard parts out of making your podcast. It's amazing. It's easy to use. You have 3 selectable user modes, from easy to enhanced to professional. DLZ allows creators to any experiences to make content of their own terms. With features like Setup Assistant, Audio Mix, Mackie has taken 30 years of audio legacy and packed all their expertise into a podcasting mixer that is not only top of the line, but incredibly easy to use. You can find out more about DLZ Creator at Mackie.com. Check it out, the amazing DLZ Creator.
And fast forward, you do incredible projects. You did Big Love too, which we didn't speak about. But at a certain point, Dani, too, you got into EDM. I think you were like 17 or 18 when you first got into DJing,
when I went
right?
to my first rave.
Yeah. Do you remember your first concerts, both of you?
What was your first concert?
My first concert was Kanye West and Jay-Z in Paris with their In Paris tour.
Huh.
Actually in Paris?
In Paris.
In Paris. Paris in Paris.
Me and Zendaya were on a press tour in Paris, and we got tickets.
That
and,
is so
and we
fucking
went.
cool.
And it was so lit. It was when he had that big box and they like disappeared under that crazy box. Like I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Sort
but
of, yeah.
He gets on this huge box and then all of a sudden he's gone and then Jay-Z appears one stage over on another huge box. And you're like, where are all these big boxes, man? It was lit.
Dani, what was yours?
First concert had to be the Bee Gees when I was growing up with my parents. So I have a forever
Good concert,
love for
by
the
the
Bee
way.
Gees.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those voices, those harmonies.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I thought it was the Backstreet Boys.
I think that might have been. I might have been a little bit older. I don't know. My parents definitely took me to a Backstreet Boys and a Britney Spears concert when I was younger. I remember that.
But the Bee Gees are
Yeah.
cooler, so we'll just go with the Bee
So
Gees.
much cooler. So much cooler.
And so you really had no experience DJing. You're 17 or 18. You had dabbled in fashion and things like that. And what kind of gave you the bug to get into this at that age?
When I was 17, I actually just went to my first rave because my friend, who is also a producer today, he invited me to a rave. It was Hard Summer, and I was like, all right, that sounds awesome. Being 17, I didn't smoke weed or do anything at the time. So I was just like, just sober in this crowd while everybody else is so fucked up around me. And I'm watching Crystal Castle's mind-blowing performance
Great
as
band.
she's like rocking off the freaking scaffolds.
Alice.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Alice.
she's
Yeah.
great, yeah.
Oh my God, mind-blowing. And then Major Lazer. And I just remember like looking around and feeling this buzz. And I was like, what is this feeling? That was the crowd energy, and I felt it for the first time, and I was just like, oh, this is magic. I feel like I'm on drugs, even though I didn't do anything. This is so cool. And that was the day that I absolutely fell in love with the community, man. And then I just started going to raves, and I think it was about 24, 25 when I actually picked up DJing, because I was like, what does that feel like up there? I need to know. I want to know.
It's so weird to think about like Major Lazer and now like you and
fuck?
Diplo
Friends.
have like love for
Yeah.
each other. Like
I never got into drugs at all. I just recently, like a year ago, probably dabbled in like mushrooms. I never ever did
Nice.
drugs. But I feel like if you do mushrooms, like a rave, that's kind of goes hand in hand. You probably the
it's
experience is
lovely.
probably like an enlightened experience if you do mushrooms.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. Mushrooms is this kind of like just vibey thing, so you get to feel art in a different way, just a little bit more intensified. I definitely don't like tripping balls. No, thank you. I'm good here on planet Earth.
Your DJ name is actually Comet, right?
It is,
So talk to
yeah.
me about how you got that nickname. So I think it was a friend of yours, and you're like, I love space. And
So actually, it was a total stranger. And so when I first started raving, part of the Plur community was a stranger could just give you a rave name. He didn't know anything about me, and he guessed Comet. And I was just like, how do you know me so well, bro? What the fuck? And so I'd always say, like, I really love that. If I was ever a DJ, I would name myself Comet. And then
with a 3.
three
there's the
came
three.
later, because the three's was part of my spiritual journey, and it's just something that feels like the universe kind of just being like, what's up, kid? I'm like, I love you. 333, what's up? So I just incorporated that love into this. Yeah,
Definitely.
three.
And Bella, you think there'll be more music with you coming up?
when the time is right, yes. When the time is right for me, I think I've just fallen so deeply in love, like further and further with writing and directing, producing, creation, and I just wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't happy when there was moments where I was happy when I was actually in the studio and things like that. Then the rest of it, it was kind of like I don't know. I think that in years, in some time for sure, I will find the right team and the right version of me that wants to do this and what I want to say. I think part of me too was just working so much against the grind of this is what's formatted, this is what people want to hear, this is what radio stations will accept, and my music is kind of like poetry based written, and that can be a little. It's just off the beaten path, and it was amazing to watch Billie Eilish like go off the beaten path and create a whole fucking lane for so many other people to get into, because that was also believed from a lot of people not to be radio play and not to be hit, you know, this and that, because of it being so differently formatted.
Yeah, I guess if you talk about poets back in the Bob Dylan and artists like that, so there's a history of like poetry music for sure.
But it's just not here anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and when it is here, it's in these really niche
No, for sure.
places,
Yeah.
and it's like
Doechii does it kind of well.
Doechi's I loved it.
Yeah, she involves
she does
a lot
it
of
so
poetry.
great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll be a minute. I have a feeling that I'll probably end up doing some form of musical before it'll probably just launch me right back into singing, and I'll be like, I'm back, guys.
And I wish people could hear the music, though. I mean, the archive that you have sitting there, and while you probably wouldn't even release it anymore because it was a whole different person in a different age and a different time making the music, it's still so fucking good and so creative and so boppy even. Man, I really do wish there was a way we could show it to people just on the down low and be like, hey, lucky person, I'm going to send you a USB of all this unreleased music. Like,
although you did get to
so
perform at
cool.
Carnegie Hall, even it was about your book, which is an amazing highlight of your life. So talk to me about that, because that's incredible.
Yeah, thank you so much. Carnegie Hall was amazing. Yeah, definitely a big one to you know, our dad talked a lot about Carnegie Hall and what that would, like, you know, even mean, and it just
The history in that building.
and to be there on a book that I, you know, went against the grain in all formats. I was told I'd never be able to act because I couldn't read and I didn't know how to write. I wrote a fucking book.
The Life of a Wannabe Mogul.
Yes, Mental Disarray, this edition, volume 1, and crazy to also think I'm going against the grain in the way that just it was told so many times, like, no, you need to write about this. It has to be autobiographical. It has to be this. It has to be that. It has to be all these different things. And you need a writing partner. You know, you need a ghostwriter. You need a ghostwriter. And I had written 3 other books with a ghostwriter before Life of a Wannabe Mogul growing up. And I felt like, I loved that process for at that time and me not knowing how to write as much, but I really just wanted to do something of my own merit and of my own worth, fully me. And to be able to do that and then do it at Carnegie Hall was like
crazy.
It's so crazy. And like they were like, you're like the only person that's ever cursed in Carnegie Hall. And I cursed like 10 times in one long poem. That's so, and looking in the audience, right, you have to like imagine how everybody looks. They're in like the suits and ties and, you know, the bow ties and these fancy ball gowns. And I'm cursing at them about like, you know, the love and disdain for myself or for my father, for all these different things, right? And they are looking at me with this, like, I mean, the power in the room was so, the people crying and the people feeling complete and utter emotion to the fullest extent of the word. Like being able to touch people and not understanding it myself. Like you write and you're like, well, people relate, of course, because we're all seen in everybody else. We're all like each other, essentially. But then when you actually see people touching on these things that they're your personal trauma, but they're not yours anymore. They're ours. They're yours. You have your own personal trauma that attaches to this one, and now we're sharing it together, and it becomes this like orgasmic, beautiful, dark release of emotion. It was, I don't even know. I can't do it justice. Words can't,
The story goes, by the way, that you wrote the book, and then I think maybe you left the USB or something on the plane, right? Because you wrote the book like before the book that actually came out, right?
Yes. I wrote 2 books, handwritten, and I left them on a Delta flight, and I know she's got them because there was this.
You say she, you mean the stewardess, yeah.
And she asked me for a photo for her niece, so I made like a little video for her niece, and I know she's got it.
She has
I
it.
know she's got it.
If
and
you're
she has
listening,
been
we want it
waiting
back.
to
Delta lady.
contact me. She's like probably even DMing me, and she's like, "Girl, I've got this shit for you."
There's a lost and found. Did anybody contact the lost
Seriously,
and
because she
found?
asked me too what I was working on. I was like, "Oh, this book that I'm writing. Oh, wow, this and that." And we keep talking about it. Man, it's got to be there. But meant to be, clearly meant to be, because in that time as well, I was put on this. Well, you're supposed to turn in this draft, but now you just lost everything you had, but you still have this draft to make. You still have a deadline. So then rewriting the book completely in a completely different format, and doing it on the typewriter as well, like very much a blessing in disguise. Don't know why I lost those books, but clearly there's a reason.
It worked out.
Yeah.
It's divine intervention. It's the universe.
And I'm working on the second one now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What is it about? Is it?
It's so the first one's called Mental Disarray, and the second one is called Mental Rehab, and essentially that should be what the book is about and how it should be formatted. The book, I didn't have an editor touch it. I wouldn't let them. The only thing I let them change is I spell to do together. I guess it sounds.
I think
like
I would
to
do the
dough.
same thing. I don't know.
It's not to dough. And she was like, my book producers, they were like, okay, Bella, can I just read this out? Can I just read this out before you get it? I just want to. So when he looked at it, and it was like a really bad sentence, like a really dark, like I'm talking really dark sentence. And she reads it out, and in the middle of it is to dough. And it was just like, and she's like,
What was
"You
the
see how
sentence, by the
that's
way?"
Not right. In the book, to be honest, it's a sentence about molestation, and it
okay.
just, it's just such a fucking dark ass sentence. And to hear her say to dough in it, she's like, you see how that kind of just, it takes away from what you're saying here. And I'm like, yep. Damn it! I wanted to go no edits, nothing, because I'm dyslexic too. So
Yeah.
you see everything I spell wrong in the book. It's all there. You watch me respell it, rewrite it, like. And I thought that was also like a real call to, you know, me being able to not do it. Yeah.
The book is more stream of consciousness in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of just ideas that popped into your head versus the other one that was a bit more scripted, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. This is definitely stream of consciousness. The second one should also be in that same format. I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm going to do it on a typewriter or not, or if I'm going to pick a different format for this book. But it should be me trying to get my shit together.
Yeah. Talking about fast forwarding a little bit to life moments, we were just talking about Carnegie Hall, Dani. Ultra. Was that, would you say that's one of your highlights of your life? It has to be, right?
Yeah, definitely. Being
So
a
when you're on
Miami girl,
stage
yeah.
like that and you're performing in front of that many people, talk to me about that and that experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, performing in front of a large thing of people, it's just something that I thought was going to be a lot scarier than it actually is. There's just something about connecting through music with all of those people. You're all in the same vibe. Nobody else is like distracted by anything else. You're just there. You're all like a wave. Oh, yeah. There's just something that it's
Pretty powerful, right?
It's very powerful.
Definitely. It's incredible. So talk to me, there's some other things you're working on too. Let's talk about your jewelry line, Thorne, right? So there's so many creative endeavors you have going on, but that's something that's very personal to you, right?
Yeah. I'm really excited. I'm really happy to be able to make a product that finally something I can fully be really, really proud of. You know, I think as an artist, we go through this a lot where we, you know, kind of want to make things and we partner with different companies, and then like if something gets messed up, a fan doesn't get their order, or it's not the right size, or it's this or that, and you're just all the time, I think, like I've just personally in the past been really like upset by things not being taken care of, and also it not being something that I can go in the shipping room myself and package this up and send it out. And it's to be able to work with a company that takes 100% serious pride in not only the jewelry, but in my name and the standard that I am giving people. This is no matter what it has to reach. Okay. And that standard by a lot of other companies, they don't want to partner with that standard because it's too hard. You've got a lot of people working under you and people messing up, and you just can't promise that something's not going to break when it comes in the mail or not going to do this. And out of every single order on Thorne, I just saw this email, so I'm very excited about all these updates. We've only had 3 returns.
Amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
3 returns, which is either sizing or a bracelet not fitting. You know, it's jewelry, so it's very specific. But that made me just really so happy. We ship it out in a day to 2 days. Like, that's just crazy. You know, it makes me so happy that I'm working with a company that really upholds the standard that I keep saying for my companies that we, you know, have to live by. So yeah, very excited about that.
That's awesome.
And
was there something missing, by the way, in the jewelry world where you wanted to create your own line? Because ultimately, it's always like a need for something. Is this one of your necklaces, by the way, that you're wearing?
No, actually, we are designing some heart lockets.
Okay.
But I just got this made
Cool.
for me and my mom. It's got a photo of us in here.
Wow.
I don't think I can unclip it. Beep.
Oh, so beautiful, so cute.
And then I've got me and my dad right here.
Oh, yeah.
My hearts. I've got hearts all over my
Yeah.
body. But
So you're working
yes.
on those designs too.
Yes, yeah, as well. We've done a big heart collection, and I've been telling them I really want to make some like more pendant. The style is definitely like vintage mixed with rock. You know, it's got a lot of masculine energy to it while also being 1930s vintage, beautiful, like, you know, very much antique feeling. Yeah.
I love it. Well, let's fast forward to the podcast because we were just talking about it a little bit. You're so real on the show, and that's one of the things I love about it. And again, the chemistry that you both have is amazing. Talking about like just, you know, how it is that you're doing this. Is anything off limits on the show or nothing's off limits?
A little bit technically. Like I guess we have a lot of memories and friends and people that we don't really want to, I don't know, get to, like, those are their details. We're not sharing those experiences. Those are private. Do share some that are totally okay, that we both have the same level and understanding of like, oh my God, I can't believe someone went there. That is too far. We don't like talking shit for sure. It's really hard for us to talk shit. We always try to find a positive and negative of the week. And then the negative, we're like, what is biting my gonads this week? But yeah, everything else though, we really open, especially about ourselves, very, very open to some pretty funny memories that we shouldn't have said, but we still said.
Oh, yeah.
How is your, by the way, how has your dynamic changed as sisters over the years? I'm sure your relationship has changed. Did you still live together? You still live together, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we live together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you think that your dynamic has changed at all over the years?
Maybe. I don't know. You mean because we both become boss bitches? Yeah. You went with bitches. Yeah, but I was thinking bitches.
Yeah. I would say so. Maybe.
You grow up, like, yeah, maybe.
I think we both like also like know what we're really good at in the house. Like when it comes to living together, like Dani knows that I'm notoriously gonna leave my food downstairs or like just leave my things on the kitchen counter. Like, you know, I don't think I know anything notoriously that you're gonna do. Maybe besides steal like peanut butter cups out of my.
That's true.
My
when I get the munchies. Fall asleep during the movie
cabinet
that we've been waiting to watch forever.
I feel like I'm on the podcast right now.
Yeah,
Twisted Sisters.
Yeah, it was just funny because we've been trying to find, when we came up with the name Twisted Sisters, it was just funny because it's really the exact like opposite though, really, of what I think like people are like, oh yeah, they're twisted and they're fucking like, they need to talk some shit and like go in. Like, it's like, well,
I think it just depends who you
like
ask.
to tap into that side.
By the way, it's also the name of the band. It's also an 80s band too, Twisted Sister.
Oh yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, yeah. We already went through
No relation.
copyright situations with that.
Is there a topic that you want to tackle soon that you haven't, like mental health? I mean, I said, I love the dating app one because even the whole idea about people sliding into your DMs, you were talking about the fact that like if I'm talking to you on an app, don't hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah, it's super
Right?
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is somehow an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on the show, yeah, we do touch on everything. We've had some fun with the dating stuff. We have talked about mental health, confidence, our own experiences of growing up in the industry, but we've also been having some fun with having guests on, which it just brings a whole new energy to our dynamic, which is fun.
Might there be a Snoop Dogg episode at some point?
Oh my God, yes.
That could be okay.
There will be a Snoop
will be.
Dogg
Oh my
episode.
God.
And he will smoke out everyone. All the producers
We wouldn't
are
even
gonna
be
have
able
to
to
leave.
see on camera anymore.
just
It'll
be
be
like-
so thick.
Yes,
Smoke.
literally.
Bella, I feel like you have like a great Snoop Dogg story. There's got to be a great story
Many.
involved. Is there one in particular that you can recall?
Man,
One of my
go.
favorite stories. So Snoop brings his like bus thing everywhere. It's awesome. It's decked
caravan.
out. His caravan. It's very comfortable in there.
and it's totally decked out head
yeah.
to toe, fucking
Weed.
Pimp My Ride style.
Yeah.
I used to love that show.
Yeah.
They need to bring it back.
Bring it back.
Agreed.
No, you can bring it back.
I can pimp my ride. I don't even know how to drive, but I'm gonna pimp
That's
it.
true.
Let's go.
All right, so you have this caravan.
Yes. And for some reason, we don't roll any of the windows down, so it is a full hot
No,
box.
there wasn't. You
No, there
couldn't.
wasn't. There
You
was
couldn't
no
roll the
windows
window
down.
All right,
down.
it's
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah, it's just
You
all
can't-
up.
right.
So Bella always rolls what she smokes.
Yeah.
Snoop also rolls what he smokes. You'd think there would just be an extra
But
person
he
there.
smokes
No.
mine too.
Yeah,
Because you
he
have your own
does.
cannabis line too.
And
right?
I smoke his, but like he doesn't know that that's like that really
That means
is
a
like
lot.
that's
He's smoking my
yeah,
joint,
like,
man.
he's like, of course you're smoking my joint.
Yeah.
Like, come on out.
Yep.
I'm Snoop Dogg, but in my mind, I'm thinking like you don't know how much I really refuse to smoke anybody else's.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she doesn't smoke anybody else's joints.
And Charlie got
just
so
herself.
high. Poor Charlie.
Yeah, poor Charlie.
At one point, he had Snoop's glass rolled blunt, two joints that I had rolled, like 2 spliffs. And then he had maybe a cigarette or something. Like he had one between every hand. And there's these photos of Charlie just like, we're just saying it was too much smoke in the car. Long
Yeah.
story short, there was too much
Yeah.
smoke in the caravan. It was
great.
So brain cells died.
But when Snoop wants to smoke with you, you can't say no, by the way, when he wants to share a smoke.
We don't
with
want
you.
to say no.
Yeah.
Why would you say no to Snoop Dogg?
We're like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah.
And we went to IHOP.
Amazing.
It was
True.
lit.
It was lit.
No, it was so lit.
So I anticipate him coming on your show, and I'm sure sometime soon.
Oh,
right?
that'd be so
Yeah.
fun.
Well, we should put. I
Yeah.
can't believe we didn't put him on the list.
Yeah, why
What
don't
are
we
we
think
doing,
about that?
Danny?
Well, you had the Culp. I think the Culpel sisters
Are
living
coming
in
up,
Culpel,
yes.
which is great.
Yeah, which we're excited
Yeah.
about. We're doing like a sleepover
Nice.
episode.
Yeah. It'd be fun.
To be cute.
By the way, by the time this episode airs, Coachella would have already passed because Coachella is actually like next week. But you're also doing your own party at Coachella.
No.
Oh, you're not. You were
Not
doing
this
your
year.
own. Okay.
No.
You were. Okay. All right.
Wah,
Okay.
wah,
Okay. You were
I've
doing
had
it.
insane parties in the past, though. B throws an annual one every year. And I mean, just
Are you going to
the
Coachella?
biggest
You don't wanna be going?
artists have played it. It's so cool. Yeah, we'll be going.
We'll still be able to attend a day or two. But yeah, with scheduling this year, it's just it's gonna be the first year to fuck up my annual shit.
Yeah.
And I'm really upset about that. So it's actually kind of like a really sore subject that you're bringing up.
Oh, okay. I'm more into
Wow,
Power Trip, by the
Scott.
way. Did you see the
So
Power
just,
Trip?
like, hurt.
I have
you
seen
seen
it.
the Power Trip lineup? That's more my. It's like AC/DC,
Tool.
Guns N' Roses, Ozzy. It's like this like rock.
At
It's at
Coachella?
Coachella.
No.
It's at the Coachella Fairgrounds in like October. But it's like it's
not
basically like the rock Coachella. So I'm actually very
Well,
excited
that
about
sounds
that.
actually way awesome.
I mean, I'm
Like,
actually way more. I'm not.
That's
Yeah,
that has me
it's like-
stoked.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying this is like at a tent at Coachella.
No, I'm
like,
actually-
Danny, we're at that tent.
I'm voting for your party this year at Power Trip, which is the Rock Coachella in October. So maybe that
I see.
maybe that could be something that's happening.
And get all the sponsors lined up again.
Exactly.
Let's go. We got a new one.
But Danny, you're actually leaving around Coachella to go do a festival, I think.
That's
right?
true. Yeah. I'm playing in Hawaii, Honolulu. I'm so excited.
Awesome.
That's
Talk to
my
me about
kind of
that.
vacation.
Because you just released 2 tracks, by the way.
I did.
Take Me
And
to
I
a
have
Rave.
another one coming out next week as
Awesome.
we leave to Coachella. Yep.
So
Take me
Space
to
Cakes, Take Me to a Rave.
Yep. And Warp Speed up next. Yay,
that's
April
cool.
14th. I'm so excited.
Dani, can you give a shout out to the tattoo though?
The tattoo?
are
Oh,
the
yeah,
space
space
cakes?
cakes. So for the music video, I got my booty tatted with UV ink, so
Amazing.
it
So does
glows
that
in
permanent?
neon.
It glows
or
in
is
the
it-
dark.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
is
It's freaking
awesome.
neon.
I didn't even know that people did that, by the way.
I know. I
It's a
kind of want to
thing.
fill my whole body with it, so when I'm DJing, you can just see it everywhere.
That's awesome. So you're playing this festival. Who else is on the festival with you?
Oh man, so many huge. So it's a dubstep festival. Riot 10 is throwing it. It's called Hyperdive Fest. Rusco, shit, there was a bunch of people. I'm playing it. What's up? I'm coming. It's gonna be really fun.
Is there anything both of you have not conquered yet? Bella, you have so many projects. We're talking about your directorial debut, cannabis line, jewelry line, book, music. Anything you haven't done yet that you really want to do? You heard it here first, by the way.
Lingerie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the next one.
You'd be great at lingerie. Yeah.
Thank you, Dani. I've become friends with this amazing designer who used to design for La Perla for lots and lots of years, and I'm sure I will build my company
That's
with
next.
him because that's like one of the main kind of like styles that I really love. That kind of classic vintage vibe meets florals and yeah. I've been approached by a few companies, but I just, with lingerie, like these things are against your private parts.
Yeah, of course.
You cannot be just rocking some kind of, you know what I mean? They tell you it's this material and then it's polyester meets this and meets that and it's rubbing all
Itchy,
over your
yeah.
vag and you're got a yeast infection now. Nobody wants that. I can't do this. So yeah, it'll definitely be again like in a few years finding the right partner to come in and really take that chance to spend more money, even though you all don't want to, but we got to do it to make sure the product is actually really worthy. But yeah, that'll probably be another venture.
Part of the Thorne Empire. I love it. Dani, I love this quote, actually. You said the best and the hardest things happen to you yet. So talk to me about what are the best things that haven't come to you yet, because there's so much more on the horizon. We just started working together, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good stuff
Buddy
coming up, I
Scott.
hope. Yeah. So talk to me about the best things that haven't happened yet for you.
Oh, the best things that haven't happened to me yet. I love it because it's mysterious and I don't even know what that is. I mean, if at so many points in my life, if I would have been able to go back in time and say from who I am today, what I'm doing, I would have had no idea that that's where I would be. So there's definitely so many things I want to touch on. I also have a vegan food line. I would love to expand into that eventually in my free time. But music, it's going to take me so many interesting places. Even outside of just making music and creation, I definitely would love to get more involved in making the scene just a safer, better place, not just for, the crowds, but also for the planet. It can be quite wasteful. So I would like to have some sort of impact on the industry, just even outside of creating a cool song.
Like an eco-friendly festival or something.
Yeah, definitely. And involving more vegan food for the vegans. We're out there. We're walking 12 miles a day. We need nourishment.
Oh, there's got to be a vegan DJ festival. No, there isn't one?
No.
Oh, that could be
probably in Bali or something.
somewhere, I'm
That
sure.
is such a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people would go to the all vegan festival.
No, but if you allowed other people that aren't vegan to go, but it was like, really rooted in a
Show me your
all-healthy
vegan card.
vegan
You're not allowed.
festival, and then maybe you got like special half percentages on things if you were actually vegan.
Once again, pull out that
reward
vegan card.
vegans for being vegan.
Well, if there's not one, we can start one soon. But do you ever work on music together, by the way? Not really.
We have.
We have.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that yet to
Fun.
come? Is that going to, at some point, will we see the light of day?
Yeah. What I love about me and Dani in the studio is that as writers, we both like to use different things, different words, different expressions, just super different, and not going for, well, this song is about falling in love. How do we say we fall in love? Like Dani and I just go in such a different form of how to fall in love. Trying to find like the oddest expression to showcase that, and that's what I also love about writing with Dani in the studio is that when I'm not in the studio with Dani, I always have to try and explain, like, that's good, but what is something like more different than that word? It's just used a lot of. I don't want to hear it. Like we want to find like a new way. I think one of the beautiful parts about 80s music is that people couldn't just say fucking and rubbing and fucking. It was finding a really interesting way to say the same dirty, fun, scandalous things, but yeah, finding a different way to say it, and I feel like that's just completely gone down the drain. Now it's just straight like dick in the ass, dick in the ass, and you're like,
nothing is left out of
what
the
else can we say
Right.
besides dick in the ass? How are we feeling?
Do you have a favorite 80s song, by the way? Either one of you?
My Kind of Lover, Billy Squier.
Great song, by the way.
Great.
He just put out a new song after like 20 years. I wanted to love it. I love Billy Squier, but anyway, great artist. What about you?
Look it up.
Original Crimson and Clover.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I just want to know, like.
What about the Joan Jett version?
No, of course, that's super
Oh, yeah.
fire.
Great
But
song, yeah.
so
I just think
hot and stuff.
Yeah, she's
it's
great.
so cool to hear even without like how I know to make music with DAWs and fucking synths and all of this, it's a little bit easier now to create these effects. And I hear Crimson and Clover or songs like that, and I'm like, how did you do that back in the day? I wish I was in the room watching this magic happen. Like, how were you doing that with the analog? That fascinates me. So
I do like the
Yeah.
Joan Jett version, by the way. It's great. It's great.
fuck yeah.
And finally, we do these top 5 lists that are always a lot of fun. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'd love you both to answer. Your favorite, the top 5 best underrated DJs out there.
So this is my opinion, right? All right, my top 5 underrated. Cranked At, Fire.
By the way, Bella, you
Fire.
could interject with one you like. That's
could.
maybe not so commercial. Because a lot of people discover people through these lists. So it could just be someone that you like that's, Well, we'll let you, Dani, let's put Dani on that list.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
let's,
No, yeah.
All right. Cranked At, insane sets, lots of energy. I love him. Afterthought, Eliminate, Tynan. Oh, actually, this one's going to surprise you guys. Lil Jon. Lil Jon is an amazing DJ, and not only did we have so much fun at his set when we were like, wait, Lil Jon's playing? He was there.
Came
and-
onto ours. After.
yeah, that's true. At Live, yeah, he did come onto our stage. That was cool and did a little.
Bella, the
Chris.
number
That's
one
cool.
most underrated
Comment.
DJ.
Comment.
Comment.
Me?
Thank
you. I didn't know you were gonna say that.
And talking about DJs too, one other thing I want to touch base on. We were talking about just before if we had to name what you all think the top 5 highest paid DJs in the world. This list might surprise you.
Alesso.
No. Wow. All right. Okay.
Let's see. Let's go for number 1.
I knew it.
The top 5 highest paid DJs in the world. Number
Okay,
1, what do you think?
David Guetta.
He is on that list. He's number 4.
What?
Okay.
Oh, we're
we got
screwed.
4 more to go.
We're
Who
so
do you
screwed
think?
if that's number 4. Tiesto.
Tiesto's on that list. Number 3.
Is Alesso not on the list?
Who's that?
Alesso?
He is not on the list. Damn it! But we got 2 out of the 5.
I love about him, and that's really cool, Bella.
But we got 3 more to go.
You see how supportive she is, guys?
We got 1, 2, and
okay.
5 left.
Okay.
1, 2, and 5.
Cascade.
Not on the list.
Wow. Surprise. Marshmallow.
Not on the list.
Skrillex.
Not on the list.
What?
Should I tell you who they are?
tell me.
Number 1, Calvin Harris.
Really?
That
That
feel
boy
like I
just
should've
goes
thought
off
of
into the
that one.
studio forever and then
That
pops
one's
out
so
and is the highest
Mid-America
paid.
everywhere, like
Love
a
him.
household name.
He's just
everywhere.
always gardening too. I
And
love
number
him.
2, by the way.
He's always gardening.
He's always gardening.
That makes me like him a lot.
I know.
Plus, he's like tall and like you know what I mean. He's like good looking, and so it just like helps a lot.
Yeah.
I mean it helps.
Number 2, I got to be honest, I didn't even know who this was until number 2 is Gianluca Vasci, the Italian DJ and like social media personality. No, I didn't. I looked. He's the guy, like the Italian guy with gray hair. He's 22 million followers.
What?
Does that ring a bell? I don't know.
No.
Apparently 200 million. I don't know if that's 200 million a year. I guess maybe that's what he makes. Crazy, right? Yeah, I don't know. Number 5, Steve Aoki, our friend,
Yes,
my friend.
why didn't we think of that.
My friend,
Come on,
my
Vegas
extended family for
residency.
years. Yeah, I love Steve Aoki.
He also plays like all year round.
Yeah,
He's
no, like
insane.
every day.
He's an athlete
of his life.
I know.
He plays. It's
incredible.
insane.
120
And
million a
how
year.
many cakes can you smash? It's crazy.
a lot of
Like,
cake.
wow. I wonder if he ever tries to like fuck up those cakes a little bit. You know, just to
I
like
think
see
so,
if
yeah.
like it comes out different. He does it so many times.
I love
You
Steve,
know?
by the way. He's the greatest.
He is.
He's like, I'll make this one frozen cake.
Next time we meet, we're going to have comment on that list, right? Next time we do this
Yeah.
podcast,
Let's
part
go.
2 of the show. Anything else we need to plug? Well, the show, Amped. It's on Amped, Twisted Sisters, Wednesdays, 6
p.m.
o'clock, 6 p.m. live.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
It's fucking live, man.
fucking live.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the next show, because this will drop in May, so we don't know who the next shows are, but that'll.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Well, you'll
May
have
still feels so
you'll have more
fun.
songs dropping by then too, right?
Oh
More
yeah.
music?
I think the full EP is going to be released by May.
Awesome.
In May. Yay.
I love
So
it.
excited.
And Bella, any other projects before we go?
I have some things happening at festivals coming up. I'm not sure that I can like announce them yet.
We love an exclusive here.
Looking for my publicist somewhere in the back.
By the way, it's not live, so we
confirmation.
could always edit it out if it's
Okay.
not. Okay, so
But yeah, Divinity premiered at Sundance, and will be some other fun places as well.
amazing.
And The Trainer, St. Clair. There's another one I'm missing. I'm just gonna do a little cut edit,
And
you
that'll
know,
be that,
note over and this other movie that you did, Bella. Don't forget. Yeah.
Josh traveling all over this year to film more.
To film more, I feel like that's what's really gotten me. Like, I want to say the names that I'm like
About to
doing,
start shooting,
yeah,
yeah.
and I'm just like, no, Bella,
Definitely
like
not yet.
you know, not yet. And do the ones that are coming out because that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're both very inspiring and major bosses. So I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for
and,
having us.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon. Thank you guys.
This is so fun.
Appreciate it.